gonna paint those little pumpkins first. These three, because they are out of focus just a little bit. And instead of giving them a lot of details, we're going to just do, for each of those, we're going to do two colors. We're going to do a medium and a shadow, a medium and a shadow. That way they don't fight against this really nice area that we're going to do here. So let's do the pumpkin in the background first, because that one is in the corner behind everything. So let's make up, and for some reason my mind went straight to the wrong color, so I guess I really want to do the orange one first. Anyway, let's start over. For that one we need a white that is like a gray, it's like an off-white. So maybe we should bring that over here and use that one first. See if we can make that. And you don't need a lot of it, just need a little bit. And for every painting, it'll be unique to that painting, so you don't have to try to paint the exact color that's in that photograph, but you want to get something close, because a lot of it is about color relationships, where if you wanted a painting that had more oranges and yellows, then you would actually use oranges and yellows for that little pumpkin instead of white. But I'm going to try to keep it close to the color that's over there, because I kind of like those little shapes and those colors. I've never been able to grow a white pumpkin, so kind of mystified by those little pumpkins. But anyway, now we'll use that as our, let's just go ahead and drag it down here, and we'll use that as our base color. We might go a little lighter, but, or a little darker on those shadows, but don't know right now. Let's look. Let's do the light stuff first. We need a much lighter gray. And I want that to stay in the background, so I'm not going to use any yellow in that one to draw it forwards. I want that one to stay kind of subdued and in the background, so we're going to do just like this. Pick those colors out that we did, or leave that gray as our color in between those little pieces. That one's got the stem on it, but we're going to do it anyway. There. Now, So I'm going to leave that there for a moment. Because I want to go into that darker color. Here. Let me give that time to dry. I'm going to do that darker color. And we're going to do purple with a little bit of yellow in it. Because I don't want this to be a completely black color. It absorbs too much light and is too dominant. And because that little area is where there's so much contrast, that can easily take over your whole little composition here by being too dark with colors that are too bright. Because that contrast is the first thing your eyes are going to go to. So let's do this first. And that little area needs to kind of blend, because that little pumpkin just sort of disappears down into there. So let's do a little bit of that. I have to adjust the size of that little pumpkin here in a few minutes when we go to that one. Now I want some blue in there. Like I said, we don't want to lose a lot of what's going on, but we also don't want it to stand out too much. Because we really want the most attention to be right in this area. So let's spread a little bit of that over here. Okay, let's see. Now let's take a little bit of our white and mix it into that. And that is going to give us this little color for our pumpkin shadow. It kind of disappears right into this area. Any one of these can start to really take your attention away from the main piece. So be careful how much detail you're putting into these, because it's really easy to just climb right in there. And the next thing you know, all your time has been taken up by details on one tiny pumpkin that you didn't want to do details on that bad. So try to keep it under control. Now we'll come back and paint that stem in a little bit. Let's paint this orange one that I was so anxious to work on. Let's rinse our brush out. Ooh, watch out. I forgot where my palette was. Oh well. That's okay. Alright. Now, let's make sure that's not too candy orange. That's I'm going to say that's okay for now. That's okay for now. like I said, we're kind of controlling the colors without letting them get too hot, because orange is a hot color. Orange is like orange and red and yellow can get really dominant with your canvases really, really fast. So what you want to make sure is if you're using bright colors that you kind of keep them muted down. Like add some grays and some dull colors to kind of cool them off a little bit so that they're not taking over the whole thing, because we have that marigold, but I don't think I'm going to use that. But there is some orange and yellow in the skin of the butternut squash, so I think we can balance it with that and with some of the warm highlights here. So I think we'll be okay. It won't isolate over here and snatch your attention away, but you know, it's orange. What are you going to do? Alright, so there's our medium. Let's make a dark orange. And make sure we don't get this too muddy and nasty looking. We'll try to do it a little bit of a dull. That's not what we're looking for. We need put some more blue, more red. Blue and orange are complementary colors, which means if you mix them together in the right amount, you get gray. So it's really easy to mix those colors and get mud. So be real careful mixing those, that you don't make, because we're close with that one. But I'm kind of looking for a duller orange, but you can really take all the pizzazz out of your painting if you're not careful. You can dull your colors down so far that they're boring. And busy paintings are only worse if they're boring busy paintings. So okay, we'll make sure that doesn't look like a tomato either. Gotta keep under control with that one. So let's put a few lines in. Like so. And we're going to come back with that highlight orange and put in some highlights, but not overpower the whole thing. So let's put a little more there. I need to bring some of this up into there. I think that would be smarter. Let's do that. Let's make that same color with our red, blue, and yellow that was down low. Let's do some of this here. Bring some of that dark color back in. Just like that. That's kind of nice. You get a little bit of reflected light there. We'll decide if we want to keep that. May have lost a little bit of our pumpkin shape there. But I think we need to spread that darker color. Let's do that. Let's spread a little bit of that up into our pumpkin. So, let's do it really carefully. Like so. And you don't want it to look like it's growing grass, so keep that under control a little bit there, smooth that out. But it does look like it's kind of sitting now instead. It might look like it's disappearing in there, so we might need to work on that one a little bit. Now, let's make a lighter orange. And this is where we need to be sure we don't bring it up too far. So let's just have a look-see. That's not quite far enough. So let's put some white in it. I would say that has definitely gone too far, but let's have a look-see. Might be just the right color we're looking for here. Let's cover over a few of those. Like so. We don't want it to look too much like a pinwheel either, so you might need to not highlight all of them, just pick out a couple. Okay. That's not too bad. Kind of like that. Without all the extra orange in there, because that actually blends nicely. So again, we'll come back and do the stem. When I mix up some stem color, we'll come back and hit everybody. So let's do the other white pumpkin here. Again, take our white and make up that little grayish. And this one isn't as out of focus as the other one in the background there, so we can actually spend a little more time on this. Some details on this one. It's closer. Pick out a couple of those little bumps. Whoops. I guess we just picked one out there, didn't we? Okay. There's a little piece there that we need to fix. It's just sticking out too much. Now, let's do that darker shade that's down the side. And we're going to need some blue. A bit of everything here for that one. More blue. Now, carry that over here and see if we can get it where we need it to be. I think that's about right. Maybe. Could be a little darker. Let's combine those two there. Like this. Bring that one down to there. Have to correct that one there. Let's do that first. Let's do, of course, we're doing our highlights, so we'll get that one. We don't want this to stand out so bright like that, so let's correct part of that, because we don't want that to be so obvious right there. There's one edge here that is, but it's still darker than what we have there, so let's do some blue. And let's do this. Carry that blue into it so that it more matches what's going on down below. We don't want to lose our details down. Go back and do that again. Put that blue, a bit of red, a bit of yellow, blue, and we'll come around this edge. Ooh, need some blue. Come around that edge and straighten that up just a little bit. But then drag it up into there. So that it's not quite so obvious, like that. Coming close to time to take a break. All right, so let's do that highlight color here. We're going to do white out. Just check it out and see what we got. That looks nice. Now let's pick out that one we lost right there. Fix that one. couple of these have some really beautiful colors going on, so we are going to do that. And that is, we're going to add some yellow to our color, a little bit of red. Give this a really nice warm color, and then kind of quiet it back down. Double check that against what we got going on here, because we don't want it to be don't want it to look real fakey yellow. You really want something warm and pretty. So let's spread that out a tiny bit. And we're going to need a tiny piece right there. We need more white. More white and a little bit, maybe even more yellow. See what that does for us. Might not have gone any further than we did. Let's do a tiny bit. And then let's get that little brush. Run that little bit over here, because there's a little reflected light there. And a tiny piece here. And we want those to just make that look just a little nicer. And honestly, I feel like a little more white might just be what we need. I should probably keep that out, because we're going to need a lot more when we go to do that big pumpkin. So let's take a little white, get it right there in the corner. Let's actually get some extra. Now you don't want to lose that warmth, so don't use too much white. But you do just want to get that really pretty little bit of color that's going on. And the more different varieties of yellow you use, the more it'll change it there. So let's just do it like that. And there's a tiny piece. Over here where we're going to put our stem. So let's do a tiny piece. We can always paint that out if we don't like it. That's one thing. If you don't like it, paint it out. Okay, so I'm going to wipe that brush right there in amongst our big brush, or our big pumpkin. And this is where we're going to stop for a few minutes.